All right, we're live in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Well, good afternoon and welcome to the September 18th meeting of the Lake City Development Corporation. It's our it's our monthly meeting, and I'm Vice Chair Dave Patzer, subbing for Denny Davis tonight. And so if I stumble or put my foot in my mouth, please help me pull it out so we can get through this thing. So again, welcome. Rod, would you leave us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Yes. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, Rod. Okay, well, welcome. First item on our agenda this evening is public comment. We're one of the unique agencies in which we like to give those folks that are interested in addressing the board two opportunities, both at the beginning and the end of our meetings. And so this is the first opportunity. Does anybody in the audience have anything they'd like to address us on tonight? Okay, I see some no's out there, so good enough. We'll address that later on. Approval of minutes. We have the August 21st, 2013 board minutes. Does everybody have a chance to review those and make sure that our scribe accurately depicted what occurred during that meeting?
If I'd make a motion to accept the minutes as presented. Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor of Rod's motion signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Thanks,
Aye.
Rod.
You bet.
Thanks, Deanna. Another thing for the viewing audience, we do have a quorum tonight. We've got Deanna Goodlander on cell phone with us and listening into the meeting and participating, so we do have a quorum tonight. Thanks, Deanna. I almost forgot about you. Okay, at this time, our next item is a recommendation from our ad hoc committee to replace the vacant board position of Jim Elder. And I believe Al Hassel, you served on that committee. Can you report and make a recommendation to this body what you guys came up with?
Yes, we had a lot of good applicants for the position. Interviewed four for let's see, it'll be a full term, and we've come up with the recommendation of Mick Arman, who is here today, and we'd like to ask that he be appointed to the commission for a full term.
Okay. Any discussion?
So that's a full term?
Yeah. Just about.
It works out that way to close to it within a couple
He was
months.
just reappointed.
Right.
That's what you mean, okay. All right.
Okay, I'd entertain a motion then.
I'd make a motion to accept that. Mick Harmon is a member of the commission.
Okay, I'll second his motion to accept the recommendation of Mick Arman.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Welcome, Mr. Arman. If you'd like to join us up here, you can officially step into the spotlight. Welcome, Mick. Thank you very much for your commitment to put in the time. I always tell everybody it's just a couple hours a month, so I appreciate that part
You
of it.
told me a few years ago.
It's worked so
Give
far.
or take a little.
Welcome, Mick. Okay, the next item we have is committee reports. Caldwell, Finance Committee, if you'd like to lead us off.
That'd be great, Mr. Chairman. The Finance Committee, we'll start, as we typically do, with the Lake District. And we'll start with the balance sheet of the Lake District. For the Lake District this last month, we did have an increase in cash of $24,538. On the asset side, there really wasn't any significant changes from the previous month. If you go to the liabilities and fund balance account, we did have a significant increase in that area of $1,682,998. That's really a reflection of a bond draw from Washington Trust of $1.7 million, and then we had our typical payments on our obligations reducing debts owed by $17,002. And you recall last month we approved a large expenditure for McEwen, and we get to the payables this month, we'll have another large expenditure because we're really into the project now where there's a lot of activity and costs. So that's a significant change as far as what we owe. If you go to the profit and loss statement for the Lake District, you'll see that we had $44,535 in tax increment revenue. We had rent income of $13,143, interest income of $144, for a total revenue of $57,822. If you go down a little bit farther, you'll see the McEwen Park infrastructure payment, $1,689,204. So that's the large item that ran through there. And then you go a little bit further on dues and subscriptions, you'll see our annual sponsorship to the ULI that we do once a year, and that's about halfway down the page. Everything else stayed about the same, but from an activity standpoint, both in the balance sheet and the profit and loss, large items as relates to McEwen, and that'll be the case for the next few months, I'm sure. Any questions about the Lake District before we go to the River District? If not, we'll start with the River District first, and we'll start with the balance sheet. The River District did have an increase in cash of $22,395 during the month. Liabilities and everything stayed about the same, and we had our typical 2% credit to the due to the arts line item. If you go to the profit and loss statement for the River District, you'll see that we took in we received $31,453 in tax increment revenue from the county, and then we had interest income of $152 for a total of $31,605. The expenses for the River District were typical, as far as there wasn't anything outstanding that was large or unusual, and certainly not the same level of activity that we have in the Lake District. So pretty standard month for the River District. Any questions about the River District, either the balance sheet or the profit and loss statement? Okay. Having none, let's go ahead and move on to the payables for the month. And you'll see a lot of activity on the payables, especially towards the bottom of the sheet. But let's start at the top. You'll see our legal fees, $185 from Elam and Burke. Holy Troxel, $1,072. Our government relations with Molitor and Associates, $2,033.54. Keith Erickson Consulting of $2,000. City of Coeur d'Alene, it's our board meeting broadcasting costs, $1,200. Our annual sponsorship to Jobs Plus of $1,000. Our first half of our ICRMP insurance, $2,672, and then the Downtown Association, $25,000. Now we'll go down a little bit further, and you'll see the public art that we transferred money to the Arts Commission. First, we transferred in the Lake District, $80,455, and then we transferred in the River District to the Arts Commission, $33,273. You can see the total there is $113,728. And Tony, if I'm not mistaken, we typically do that right in August or September once a year, correct?
Right. That's done once a year, and that represents 2% of the revenues that are received by each district. Yeah. So the board has traditionally granted those funds to the Arts Commission for use for public art projects within the districts where those funds originate.
Yeah. We set aside an accrue for that all year, and then when it's time to pay it, we have the money and we just cut them a check.
Correct.
So you'll see that item is fairly big, but it is the once a year. You go down a little bit further, you'll see Welch Comer engineers on some cost validation. We're done with the Riverstone West work on the apartments and also the Mill River Senior cost validation. Then we get down to McEwen Park project, and the second line item you'll see is CNI McEwen invoice number 6, $1,845,153.25. So like last month, this is a big draw for another payment. And then Team McEwen, $41,592. If you add those two together, it's $1,886,745.25. So again, large expenditure. We've got the line of credit to take care of these payments per our budget and everything that we've worked on. So you take the total of everything as far as payables this month, we have $2,141,000 $35,635.79. Are there any questions about the payables for this month? Seeing none, I do need the board's approval to accept the financials and approve the payment of the payables.
Move for the approval, pay our bills and accept the financial statements.
Okay. And I will second his motion.
Okay. Moved and seconded to accept the financial reports and the payables as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Not appearing. That's approved.
Okay, and that's all I have for the financial report, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks, Rob. Thank you. Okay, the next one of our committee reports is the Housing Committee.
Dave,
Yes, go ahead, Deanna.
I'm turning that over to Tony to make, and then I'm going to sign off.
Okay, Deanna, thank you. How big is the ocean tonight?
Well, it's got a storm rolling in, so the breakers are pretty heavy, but it's absolutely beautiful. The sun is shining right now, and it's just really, really nice.
Okay, well, thanks for 36 hours weather report from now. Thanks, Deanna.
All right.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
Okay, Tony, if you want to take over and
Be my pleasure.
Housing Committee.
I just wanted to share that representative of the Housing Committee, Deanna and Denny, and I met with the housing company representatives regarding the proposed project in Midtown. And the housing company has come up with a refined scope, taking into consideration the feedback that they received from the last overture from the Midtown stakeholders. And so what they're thinking of is a new building concept that is 3 stories in height versus 4 stories in height. So they removed a level of 1 story from the building, so making it shorter than it was originally proposed. They've also narrowed the building so that there's more space between the back of the building and the alley, and thus the residences on the alley on 3rd Street. They have designed the mixed-use project with smaller residential units, more 1-bedrooms and studio apartments than before. The original concept had more 2-bedrooms, larger footprints, and that was a concern for the Midtown stakeholders. And they're also proposing less commercial space on the street level. The original concept had about 8,000 square feet of commercial, and they're kind of in the 4,000 to 5,000 foot level now, and that's an area that we're still working with them on. So the next steps in the process is that the housing company is going to continue to refine their concept, and then they plan to come to the LCDC board in October with a full presentation seeking LCDC support for this new concept. And then if LCDC supports it, then the housing company and the LCDC will re-engage the Midtown stakeholders and share with them the concept and get their feedback, and hopefully bring a project to fruition by the application time for the federal tax credits in February. So that's the game plan as it stands right now. So this will still be a Section 42 federal tax credit project where the housing company will compete with other builders in the state for the federal tax credits. That will be the primary funding source, along with LCDC's equity and a little cash to help with demolition would be the proposal. So that will all come together if the board accepts this new concept and it gets enough community support to move forward.
So things are going to be pretty fast-tracked on this if we have to back up from February. When will the people get a chance to take a look at it?
The first chance would be the public venue here at our board meeting, where the housing company will seek LCDC's partnership support. And then soon after, if the board agrees to be a partner, then we'll take it out and meet with the Midtown stakeholders. There will most likely be some preliminary meetings to get a few of the stakeholders engaged that are more interested, but it will be more of an accelerated proposition.
Okay. And that probably is going to happen in the next 30 days as far as, you think in September, October, they'll be here for a presentation?
Yeah, they'll be here at our next board meeting.
Okay.
That's the plan.
Okay. Any other questions or comments on this project? Anything else for housing?
Nope, that's it for housing.
Okay, good, thank you. Parking.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
not much activity on parking. Don't really have any changes to report.
Okay. Good enough. Okay, the next one falls under my umbrella of influence. I'll ask Keith Erickson to join us up here at the table and brief us on what's been happening with our outreach efforts and newsletter, etc. Mr. Keith, welcome.
Thank you so much. Good to be here again. Welcome, Mick.
Thank you.
Good to see you. Just a few things to report on. The first and most exciting, at least to me, I've had the privilege of visiting McEwen Park twice. It's, as we all know, is under construction, and the playground's already in. It's developing fast. It's looking great. It's exciting to go down there and see all the energy. And with that said, we are, or not we, but the city and all the players in this initiative are going to have an open house, so to speak. I use that term loosely because it's really not a house. But we're going to have a public opportunity for people to see the park firsthand. You can see it from afar, but on October 12th, which is a Saturday, from 2 to 6 p.m., the engineers, the landscape architects, the city, the LCD, all the players involved are going to take some time on a Saturday for 4 hours and allow the opportunity, invite the opportunity for the community to come down and check it out. It won't be completely finished, but a good part of it will. As I said, it's exciting to see what's going on with the trails, and the playground system is in too. So I just want to encourage people to come down there. The LCDC will have a booth or a tent, whatever you want to call it, but we'll have with schematic designs, so you can kind of, hopefully we'll be around the entrance, and we're still nailing down the fine terms of it. But the LCDC will have a booth that people can come into the open house, and what they'll see is kind of a schematic. Oh, this is where the pavilion is, or here's where the Harbor Plaza is. They'll be able to look at all of that and then tour around it. So it should be a good opportunity to really get excited about everything that's going on down there, because it's changing fast, week by week. If you haven't been down there, it's exciting. So again, the details haven't been mapped out. I don't think that the kids and adults will be able to play on the playground equipment yet, even though it's all in. But it'll kind of be cornered off so you can get a full walk around the park, and you'll see it all. And you'll have experts along the way that will be able to answer questions. So I would encourage the community who is as excited as we are about this project to check it out on Saturday, October 12th from 2 to 6. And our Facebook page will continue to have updates, as the media will. I'm working with the media to publicize this. It'll be a big event, and I think it's exciting. On a different note, as we all know, the elections are coming up. We've got a big election coming up for the city of Coeur d'Alene and elsewhere. And in the continued focus for the LCDC to reach out and inform people what we're doing, what we're all about, the LCDC is meeting individually with all the candidates. There are 9 candidates for 3 council positions and the mayor's position. 9 candidates total, 1 incumbent, and the rest vying for new. And so what we're doing is offering an opportunity, because there's a lot of questions. It's an issue, LCDC, and what we do, and we want to be as informative as always. So what we're doing is scheduling, and we've already scheduled some appointments and met with people, and throughout the month of September we'll be meeting with these candidates, and it's really nothing more than an opportunity to answer their questions, find out what they don't know and what they could learn from us, and for us to give a little bit of background information. It's kind of informal, but just it's such a hot topic, so that's something that we're doing in our continued efforts to reach out and communicate.
That's going to be probably 9 council positions and 3 mayoral positions. So 12 people altogether have been approached with.
You're right. Yeah, and
Okay.
I said 9, but you're right. You're right. There's 3 for the mayor.
I didn't want 3 people
yeah.
thinking they were cut out of this.
Good point, Dave. Yeah, very good point.
Okay.
And then very briefly, I report on this every month. Our media outreach on a couple of local websites continue to do well. I won't give you the specifics other than they say they continue to do well. The reason I bring it up is because if you see us on the Coeur d'Alene Press's website or Huckleberry's, those ads that connect to the McEwen webcam will discontinue at the end of November because work, I mean, it goes to the webcam and work won't be going on. So I think it's been a successful initiative. I think that we've gained a lot of people that have learned about us. They can go to our website. It's relatively inexpensive at $300 a month. So without getting into the details, they continue to perform well. So I'm really pleased with what's that done, or what it's done and performed. And then finally, our 18th edition of the LCDC newsletter that hopefully everyone watching receives. If not, they can go to lcdc.org and click one button and get it. This month we've got some exciting topics. The lead is the open house at McEwen Park. And I think what's really exciting about that is I've been down there, as I said a few times. What you see now in the photo that you'll see in the newsletter when you go to it is the grass. It looks so real, but it's long-term. It can survive all seasons. It's padded for the kids. It's green. It's beautiful. It looks nice. It's only a fragment of the park that's completely done, but it really looks cool and exciting. So the newsletter includes the open house details and some information on when and where, as I've already mentioned. We're also talking about, it was a good year downtown. I talked to Deanna, who I guess isn't on the line anymore. It was a really exciting year downtown. My wife and I went there frequently. There was a lot of activity between the free concerts, the farmers market, and this type of a thing. And so I talked to some business owners, some people that frequent it downtown to find out how active was it, how excited are you. So just kind of a downtown wrap-up on the summer. I talked to Dave Cooper, the manager of the Downtown Association, who offered some good information on businesses staying open longer because of all the activity. We've also got a piece on Riverstone that I won't elaborate on, but Riverstone continues to do well. And then finally, a community profile on Doug Eastwood, who for 35 years has served excellently, in my opinion, and the community's opinion from what I hear, as our parks director, who retired last month and was a big part of McEwen Park, and provided a great interview for me. And so you can learn a little bit about Doug and his background and what motivated him to stick around the city for 35 years. So it should be a good newsletter. Exciting things are happening. With that, I would take any questions.
Keith, is the splash pads in yet, or is that later?
I'm glad you asked that, because I've been down there, and so the jets are in. And one of the biggest features, I don't know how much of the community knows this, but is a huge boat. That this boat will actually appear to be plying through the water. So the jets, the way it's worked out, is it's plying through the water in the front, and the back looks like jets. So when I was down there last week, the jets are all in, so it doesn't look pretty. The fixtures that water comes out of isn't, but it literally is changing day to day. Yeah. So I'm thinking by the time we go down there, and again, we'll update it on our Facebook page and elsewhere, that we'll be able to tell you exactly what you'll be able to see, but it's developing fast.
Okay, good.
Any other questions for Keith? Okay. Thanks, Keith.
You bet.
Appreciate it. Mr. Burns, Executive Director's Report.
Mr. Chairman, just some updates on a few initiatives. First, just want to update everybody on the North Idaho College Sports Complex / Event Center. As you might know, the NIC Board of Trustees has given NIC leadership staff the green light to continue the analysis on that initiative. NIC leadership plans to engage the services of a consultant specializing in event center development and design to further refine the proposed scope and scale of the event center given the feedback received to date. So the ball is still in NIC's court, and the NIC leadership team is going to take that ball and continue the analysis. So
any idea when they're going to engage those folks?
They will engage them shortly because they are still operating under the deadline that this fine organization has instituted, that they need to make a formal request for LCDC funding by the end of the calendar year.
Okay.
So that would be happening fairly quickly. McEwen Park update. Mr. Erickson captured most of the energy around that, but as he said, we do have that open house scheduled on October 12th from 2 to 6. As you know, we meet regularly every week with the construction team, and everything is on schedule. The only thing that's up in the air, no pun intended, is the weather. So as long as the weather holds and we can have a normal fall, things will continue to progress very well. If Mother Nature doesn't cooperate, then we will play it by ear and do the best we can. So typical construction challenge.
Tony, in your meetings and discussions, boat launch is scheduled to be available to the public back around October 1st. Is that still on track?
I believe so. I don't know exactly the date, but that was the
Okay.
plan, to have it
So
back
in
open.
2 weeks, they're going to be back opened up for business down there, 10 days. Okay.
Tony, what % do they expect to have completed of the entire project by the end of the, say, this current season?
I don't have a percent, Mick, but they will have the parking structure and Front Street complete, hopefully completely paved on Front Street, depending on the weather. That's the game plan, is to get that completely paved. The pavilion and the Harbor House should be up and nearing completion. The Grand Plaza, the staircase, most of that larger infrastructure will be complete. What won't be complete is the landscaping, the final landscaping on maybe grass and the small shrubs and trees. That would be probably wrapped up in the spring. Once again, that will shut down given the weather and conditions when they can do it. But
Most of the construction will be
Yes.
done yet this year?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the game plan. The next update is just on the jobs ad hoc committee, just to refresh everybody's memory. There's a small group of commissioners, Mr. Hoskins, Mr. Patzer, and Davis, that are kind of looking to see what LCDC might be able to do on the jobs front. And we talked about this last couple of months, but where we're focusing on is to see if there's a role for LCDC working with North Idaho College, Lewis and Clark State College, University of Idaho, and Kootenai Health and its affiliates on the healthcare job front to see if we might play some role in helping with job creation, job retention. We met recently with those stakeholders, and we formed a working group to try to come up with a needs assessment to kind of define what is exactly needed on that front and how the institutions and potentially LCDC can help. We had a meeting of that working group today, and we are continuing down the path of bringing together data and continuing to work with Kootenai Health to help on exploring what possibilities there might be and what role LCDC might have. So that's ongoing. There's a lot of excitement. This group is very excited about the possibility of continuing to grow healthcare in our community. It's definitely an economic engine. And we'll see what, if any, role LCDC can have, but there's just a lot of good energy between the institutions and Kootenai Health on this, too. So very, very positive on that front.
It's really amazing. It seems like the choke point on the educational process is what's creating the backlog. I mean, there's a demand for people coming out of school with various certifications and degrees, and the inability of the schools to churn out the demand is kind of what we've been focusing on. And the folks at Kootenai Health were very informative about the Spokane and the efforts that the City of Spokane and Washington State University is with their relationships with Sacred Heart and the medical facilities over there. And how much emphasis they're putting on creating and working with those facilities and those businesses over there and trying to alleviate this shortage in the healthcare world. So I'm pretty enthused. I mean, sitting around the table with those folks was very energizing, and they're very enthused about possibly what can occur, not only just Coeur d'Alene, but kind of a North Idaho, broader-based perspective on this. So I think it's a good area to go into.
The next item, Mr. Chairman, is just my annual visit with the board regarding the ICRIMP policy for terrorism insurance coverage. As always, as we've done for the past few years, we will decline this coverage at the recommendation of our insurance agent. Basically, ICRIMP really needs to kind of meet the compliance measures from the federal government and offer this additional insurance to its clients. That would cost us an estimated $5,000 more a year for this insurance coverage. that our insurance agent says we do not need because ICRIM carries a $20 million terrorism policy for its clients. So we will plan to decline this once again, as we have done in the past. And finally, I just wanted to update the board on an initiative that we approved in the budget. We're looking at doing a little demolition work this fall. I think I didn't print out too many of these copies, but just 3 of them, and I can share this. You can pass that down. But what this is the board approved in a budget demolition cost for demolition funding for 618, 620, and 622 North Park Avenue properties. These are the properties that we own over by the Foregrounds area. These 3 properties are in pretty heavy, in a very heavily deteriorated state, and the decision's been made to go ahead and demolish these buildings. The 2 of the tenants have already issued their desire to leave, so we're having 2 vacant buildings, and thus the energy to maybe look at doing this demolition work now because we have 2 tenants that are vacating, and to make it an easier operation. So I'm starting to contact some demolition firms in the area to kind of get an estimate on what this might look like, and hopefully, if it works out, we might move this demolition forward before the end of this year. So, and this is all in the long-term plan. We've acquired all 10 residential properties on this block that abuts the area of the old Burlington Northern Santa Fe Railroad, which is now controlled by the BLM. And remember, the vision of LCDC for the longest time was to kind of acquire these properties, and in combination with the properties behind, have a larger potential developable footprint for the community to develop whatever needs to be developed there as a result of the 4 corner planning that's going to be going on here shortly. So long-term strategy to acquire that property, have it available for exactly where we're going to be here in a few months as we enter into a master planning process. So 3 buildings this fall, and then we will kind of decide over the next year or 2 when we might want to take the rest of the buildings down.
Brad?
So if anyone is wondering about this, the plan would be to demolish these, probably save the existing trees for now until it's master planned.
Correct.
Grade and level the ground, maybe hydrocene, some kind of ground cover over it.
Exactly. And then we'll put a fence on the backside that's on the alley to prevent people from parking on it. Then it'll just be green space, and we'll keep it green through irrigation.
Okay, so we'll do some irrigation and keep it green, keep it mowed in the meantime until we
Just
have our
like-
master plan.
Just like we did on that 632 lot, that building we demolished a couple years ago. It's just a corner green lot right now. So
Tony, on this street, is there one house that's privately owned or a couple of them towards the park? I thought there was one, or not.
but we own them all.
We own them all. Okay.
So everything from the alley to Memorial Field is now owned by LCDC, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And I think we all probably agree that vacant houses invite, problems and vandalism. So the opportunity is there. There's economies of scale of doing all of them in one shot. I think on the previous one, we opened it up to, what was it? Was it Habitat for Humanity?
Yeah, exactly.
To come in and to reclaim built-ins and those kind of fixtures that had value, so it enables them to kind of come in and take those things of values out before we turn the demolition folks loose on it. So that's kind of, I think, the plan that we came up with, at least tentatively through finance on how to address this. So Tony's bringing it up and daylighting it, and I'm sure once we get that third one vacant, we will go ahead and consummate that deal.
Question, wouldn't it be a good idea for us to get Habitat in there as soon as possible before vandalism occurs and
Certainly.
destroys those things of value to them?
Yeah, if there's doors or windows that are
Yeah,
of value, certainly. Otherwise, they'll end up getting broken.
whatever.
Yes, we will do that.
Well, I think it's probably time, and I think you're doing the right thing to preserve the trees and put that in green space right now while that's master planned for the next several years, so that that's an asset to the neighborhood down there.
You can see from the pictures, they're fairly expensive to keep maintained because they're in pretty poor shape, so
Right.
you really don't want to spend a lot of money fixing them up and holding on to them for another couple of
Now,
years.
do we own these three free and clear, or do we have some payoffs on them?
Free and clear.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that the way the real estate market's gone in the downtown area properties, probably the land alone is worth as much as we paid for most of these houses. Not more in some of the cases, depending when we bought the houses, so it's pretty valuable land down there.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thanks, Tony. Okay, the next item we have is annually we have to elect both the chair and the vice chair to lead this organization, and it's that time of the year to do that. And Denny has agreed, if nobody else steps forward here or gets nominated or stands on the table and says it's my turn, to continue to lead us as the chair. And I've been approached and my arm twisted, and I'll continue as the vice chair since I've only had to do this once in 1 year. That's not too strenuous on my old system. But what we need to do to formalize it is I need to open it up to nominations from you all. Let's do the position of the chairman first. So let's open it up for nominations for chair.
I'll nominate retaining Denny as the chairman.
I would second that nomination.
Any other nominations?
Well, it looks like
Okay, nominations are
Denny's up.
closed. All those in favor of Brad's nomination for Denny to continue as chair for this next year signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, any opposed? Good. We've got our chairman again for another year. Okay, now we need to open up the position of vice chair.
I'll nominate Mr. Patzer to retain the position as vice chair.
I'll second that.
Any further nominations? Al?
No, it's no use.
You cannot,
no use.
do that.
Good try, though, Dave.
How about Hoskins?
Yeah,
He's not here. Okay. Any other further nominations? Okay. Not appearing so, the nominations are closed for vice chair. Okay. All those in favor of me being continuing as the vice chair for the next year signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Well, thank you for the faith you place in me. I think sometimes it's maybe misdirected, but thank you.
Maybe next year we can have you serve twice.
Let's hope that it continues on this very limited basis. Okay, well, thank you very much. Any commissioners have any comments at this time to bring up? Discuss questions? And welcome, Mick.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate
sir.
the confidence
Yeah, well, thank
the
you.
board had in me, so I appreciate the opportunity.
I think we had previously discussed, I think we had eight applicants, nine applicants this year. A tremendous group of people, very broad-based, all with neat skill sets, and, you know, I'm humbled by that, so thank you. The next item then is our second opportunity for public comment. Anybody like to address us? Back and forth, okay. Again, thank you for coming and participating. Okay, next thing, if nobody else has anything to bring up, would be adjourning into executive session. I need a motion to adjourn into executive session under Idaho Code Section 67-2345, subparagraph 1, or I guess subsection B, to consider the evaluation of our executive director. I hear
Okay, well, I'll motion
to do
we
that.
enter executive session under Idaho Code Section 67-23451,
Subsection B.
subsection B. Oh, sorry. Good thing we have a lawyer here. That's what we pay
There's a
the lawyer
second on
for.
that?
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. I think this is the only time tonight we get the roll call, isn't it, Mr. Burns?
Yes, it is.
Okay,
Mr. Caldwell,
Aye.
Mr. Hassel,
Yes.
Patzer,
Aye.
Jordan,
Yes.
Harmon.
Yes.
Okay, we are